Welcome back. In this video, we're going to start off by creating a set of city blocks from the top view, and we're going to use the perspective tool to give us a really cool skyline effect. So before we begin, I'm going to show you my grid settings. So if you go under your preferences, under guides, grid, and slices, I've set the grid line for every 100 pixels, subdivisions of 6, and dotted lines. My canvas is 3,300 pixels wide by 5,500 pixels tall at 600 pixels per inch. And it really doesn't matter so much about the canvas dimensions, but that's what I'm using in case you're interested. So you can toggle the grids on and off by holding down Command single quote or Control single quote on your keyboard. And I'm going to keep that on. And what I'll do is I'll just define a block. And so I've got a new layer here. Let's just define our block to be within this particular square. Let's now go ahead and construct some overhead views on a new layer. What I will do is I'll just define some square shapes. I will try to make a conscious effort to keep an even gap between all of these squares, and the reason for that is this is kind of approximating city streets. You don't always have to do that. Some streets can be wider. So let's make a building that's yay wide. Now with this particular technique, it's pretty cool, but it's not completely perfect, and I'll go ahead and explain that as I go through this demo. So I'm making a set of boxes. And you know what? I just wanted to show you the effect, so let me just go ahead and make my square just a little bit smaller. Something like this. Okay, so I'm not going to go through and fill out the whole thing. I'm just going to use this as a sample size so you can see the trick. So I can toggle off the visibility of that square that I no longer need. And what I will do now is I will hit Command J to move a copy over, rotate that, hit Enter to commit, Command J to make a duplicate again, rotate, commit, Command J, and this time what we'll do is we will flip horizontally so we have something that looks kind of like a circuit board. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take those 4 layers, they're all still in a square shape, and we will merge them together by shift selecting them and hitting Command E or Control E on a PC. And now what we can do is we can use the transform tool, choose perspective, and just extend this out with whatever perspective we want. So I'm going to go with something like that. And I will commit that. And so now all I want to do, or all I need to do, is basically create some vertical projections for these buildings. Now the limitation with this, and this is where knowledge of perspective is still important, cheats can only get you so far, but the limitation is all of the buildings in this particular technique are at the same height. So that's not a problem. There are ways that you can, fix that, but this gets you a good 70% of the way there in terms of building a skyline. And you can add details like windows and whatever else you need. So if you're looking at making something relatively quick, this is one way that you can utilize. And so now I've got these buildings. And of course we're looking at it from the top, and let's just say that we want to extend some of these buildings and make them taller, because I know that it's going to be the natural follow-up question. How do I do that, what are, some ways that I can get some variety in this? Well, we all know that the vanishing points, if I create a brand new layer here, the vanishing point is going to be somewhere, and I'll use my head stylus. Let me turn on my ruler. So the head stylus is a digital ruler tool, and you can define start and end points. And I want to figure out where the vanishing point actually is, so I can line up my head stylus. This is on a new layer, and I can just create a line and then flip that over to the opposite side. And this is establishing where my vanishing point actually is. So there's my vanishing point. So we can now say, okay, if that's my vanishing point, Head Stylus has this really cool tool. It's the perspective tool, or it's a kind of a radius tool that just creates rays, right? And from a vanishing point, so I can go ahead and set the middle like so. And it gives me this blue axis with which I can go ahead and create other lines that follow that particular perspective, right? And so how does that help me? What do I need to do now? Well, I'm laying in the foundation for creating buildings of varying heights. So if I turn off this vanishing point layer and just simply use my straight line tool, I can come back in. Doesn't really matter where I put this particular head stylus, and I can just extend this line up, and I've got now one building that's at a slightly taller size. Maybe I can pick, say, maybe this L-shaped building over here, extend that all the way up. And I can create another ray for that, but you can see how this building now is breaking through the skyline. And I'll just do one more, maybe all the way in the far back. And this just gives your city a little bit more variety. And I'll just draw that in there. So now we've got, with this turned off, we now have the ability to, let me just drop these rays so I can see what I'm doing. And so now I've got these buildings that ascribe to a particular vanishing point, and I can just make those connections. I can draw my windows and do whatever else I need to do. So pretty powerful tip. It works great in conjunction with either Lazy Nezumi on Windows or Head Stylus for Mac, and it's a quick way to go ahead and create a skyline. And the thumbnail that you'll see for this video is the skyline that I've already made using this particular technique. So again, I hope you found this video to be useful. Let me know by writing a comment down below. Is this a new technique for you? Have you put it into practice? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.